Hello guys, what's going on? It's me, Zep, and bringing you another video today with got the Borderlands 2 in the background, and I'm going to start this new series, which I'm going to go over different systems in certain price ranges to help you all out. So I'm going to give like, an Intel and an AMD build and versus AMD graphics and NVIDIA graphics at a certain price point. And this video is going to be $750, and I'm going to give two different builds that you could build, and each has different strengths. So start off with, we will go with the AMD rig, and this rig is going to focus more on GPU power than what it would CPU power, with also the availability to add a second graphics card in, and it's going to have more space and stuff like that, and you'll be able to overclock it. Unlike the Intel build, since Intel processors and motherboards cost more, you really won't be able to. Okay, so first thing we're going to start off with is the processor, and we're going to do the FX 6300 Vishera at 3.5 gigahertz. That's what it starts at. Turbo's up to 4.1, but it is unlocked, and so you will be able to overclock it quite a bit actually. Won't be able to do one of the closed loop water cooling, but we are going to do the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Plus, which is a really good air cooler for the price range. It's $30, and you should be able to get about 4.4 gigahertz on it and stay within some nice temperatures, maybe more depending on what kind of chip you have. And for the motherboard, we're going to go with the ASRock 970 Extreme 3, and to me, ASRock offers the most features for the money. I personally use ASRock myself. That's what I use in all of my builds, just because I like what you get for the money, and I really like their motherboards and the UEFI and all the software that comes with it. And then for the graphics card, we're going to use the FX 7870 GHz edition. This is a monster of a card for the price. It's $229. Comes with a mail-in rebate of $20. Personally, I don't fool around with mail-in rebates, but if you're trying to secure more for the money, then it's probably a good idea to send them in. That way that you can maybe add more money that you wouldn't have if you didn't send them in. So this card starts out at the gigahertz clock, and these overclock like a beast, and these are, you can actually overclock a 7870 up to the 7950 level, so it's really good. And then for the RAM, we're going to use the Kingston HyperX Blue. This is 8 gigs of DDR3 1600 with a cast latency of 9. So this is very good memory. I love Kingston. I love everything they do. They make really good stuff. It's dependable and it's fast. For the hard drive, we're going to use a 1 terabyte Western Digital Blue drive. And the reason we went with the blue is because it's cheaper than the black. It's not as fast as the black, but it's still fast. It's a 7200 RPM SATA 6 hard drive, plus it's 1 terabyte. And then if maybe you came across some money in the future, you could always add an SSD and still have a really nice hard drive in your system. I actually use the Western Digital Blue drive in my system for my storage drive. I lost my words, but I have a 250 gig SSD made by Samsung. So, but you can't really fit that into a 750 budget or even a 1000 budget unless you want to give up some GPU performance. Alright, for the power supply, we're going to use the Corsair CX series 750 watt 80 plus bronze certified power supply. Corsair makes really good power supplies. This also has a mail-in rebate that you can use, and it'll give you the option in the future to add another 7870 since the motherboard does support Crossfire, and these two scale really well. The 7870s do. It's unbelievable how well they scale. So it's something to look forward to in the future if you was interested in that. So this build isn't just 750 right now. It's a system that you could actually upgrade in the future by adding an SSD to get faster, or a second graphics card, or more hard drives or whatever. You can even say down the line you can sell off your FX 6300 and get like an 8350 or whatever. We're going to wrap this up in the Antec Gaming Series 1 black mid-tower case. It's a pretty nice case. It's a quiet case. You can also substitute it in. You could also substitute in like a Cooler Master 431 or something, or spend about an extra $20 and get a half 12. I really love the half 12, the half series. I've used them in builds, the half 12, 912, 922, and 932 advanced, and I love their cases. So that's the AMD build, and I'll put the links, or not the links, but like the description down in whatever, in the description of the parts, in the description of the video. And the total comes to $740.92 plus shipping, so you're probably looking right at $750. So the Intel build, though, because Intel does cost more, in this build there's really no reason to get a CPU core, because I had to go with the 3470, the i5 3470 Ivy Bridge. Now this processor right here, it will walk circles around the 6300, but you can't overclock it at all. I mean, you might be able to boost it a little bit, but not really. You're not going to be able to get what you would with the 3570.
Hyperion knows about me better.
So that being said, though, this is going to be one of the builds that's not going to have a whole lot of overclocking potential, just to take note of. So, and it's going to have less GPU performance compared to the AMD build because of the price of Intel components. So for the processor, like I said, we're going to use the i5 3470, which is 3.2 gigahertz and boost up to 3.6, and you can probably push it to about 4, maybe not that high, in the BIOS. And then for the hard drive, we're also going to go with the Western Digital Blue Drive, but this one's going to be 500 gig. Had to take a cut on storage. And also you got the Samsung DVD burner, and we're also going to use an ASRock Z77 Pro 3 LGA1150i5 motherboard. It's a good motherboard. Like I said, I use ASRock and I use Intel, so I love their stuff. For the RAM, we're going to use the ADATA XPG Gaming Series, 8 gig of it at DDR3 1600. It's kind of a sweet spot. ADATA makes really good stuff, so shouldn't have any problem out of that RAM. For the graphics card, we're going to use the MSI GTX 660. This is the non-TI, and it's not as good as the 7870, but I wanted to give you all the choice between NVIDIA and AMD, so you can choose between a 660 or a 7870. They're the same price, but the 7870 does have better performance in some games, but a lot of games now support the 660 or support NVIDIA better. So like if you play Borderlands like I am right now, an NVIDIA card's going to do better in it, just because of the CUDA cores and the physics. So both graphics cards come with free games. The 660 is going to come with a free copy of Assassin's Creed, and the AMD is going to come with a free copy of Hitman and Far Cry 3. And by the way, Far Cry 3 is awesome. If you hate AMD, but it's just a sweet deal, like absolutely a sweet deal, just to buy that card just to get Far Cry 3. So that being said, though, we're gonna go with the power supply. We're gonna go with the Silverstone Strider 700 watt 80 plus certified. Silverstone makes great products, and that's one thing I wanted to do in these builds, was push the importance of having good parts versus cheap parts. So we went with really good parts, and yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more, but your system's going to be more balanced, and it's going to be able to last a little bit longer. So that's why we're going with the 700 watt. It gives you the option to add in another 660, and 2 660s in the SLI is very good. Be pushing way better than the 680. So 700 watt, like I said, 80 plus. You always want to get 80 plus. It's the best. And then for the case, we're going to go with the Core Master Elite 430, and it has a window in it so that everybody can see all your goodies. So these two builds, like I said, they're priced at about $750. The Intel build comes out to $758.92, but it has quite a bit of mail-in rebates on the case and the video card, so you should be able to come in right below $750 even with shipping and everything. So now that I've named out the builds, I want to go with the pros and cons versus each of them. So the AMD build, if you go with the 7870 and the 6300, you are going to have more GPU performance, hands down. The 660 cannot keep up with the 7870, especially a gigahertz edition, and you can overclock them. So if all you're doing is playing games, no rendering or anything, and don't really care about CPU performance. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 6300 is a very good CPU. I mean, you're going to have more than enough CPU performance. There'll be very little difference between that and the 3470 in games. So, but it does have more GPU performance and a larger hard drive, and you can overclock both of them very well. So, but if you go with the Intel build and say the NVIDIA card, you're going to have more CPU performance, hands down. The 3470 will walk circles around the 6300 whenever it comes to rendering and stuff like that, or just benign task, even though the 6300 is a 6-core, the architecture for Ivy Bridge is better. But like I said though, AMD still makes good stuff, so it's just something to think about. If you're an Intel guy, go with that one. And then the 660, like, it supports different rendering, or like Photoshop and After Effects and stuff like that. Some programs handle CUDA Core better than what they do OpenGL. Even though the graphical performance may not be as high with the 660, it will have support for those other programs. And you get a free copy of Assassin's Creed, which I don't know, some people say the game's not that good, but whatever. It's all about your preference. If you're an NVIDIA guy, go with the 660, and if you're not, then go with whatever. You know, I mean, if you wanted to with the AMD build, you could drop it down to say like a 955, the Phenom, which is still really good. It beats everything up until the i5. So for $99, you can't really go wrong with it, and you can overclock it. So you can do that, and maybe get like a 660 Ti with the money that you save. So there's different ways that you can go with it, and there would be different choices that you can make to kind of build the system that you want. So I mean, if you want more graphical power or CPU power, so I'll really give you that option that you can change what you want to change and still have a really good system for a $750 price point. That being said though, I urge everyone here that watches my videos, or you know, hears about my videos or whatever, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll answer as best as I can, especially about PCs and maybe what you like or what will do better, you know. So there's lots of different choices you can make, but I really wanted to build two well-rounded systems based from each vendor. So you have a well-rounded Intel and NVIDIA, and then you have a well-rounded straight AMD system, each with their pros and cons. So that being said though, thank you all for watching my video. I hope you enjoy it and look forward to more. I'm going to try and do a $1,000 build, a $1,500 build, and a $2,000 build video for each month maybe. Just depends on how school goes. But anyway, peace out guys. Later.